How do you do, my friends in Blogland? This is my regular Thursday performance where I discuss any one of many popular issues or whatever is on my mind that I think should be on your mind, that are the most relevant hot topics that everybody is wondering or discussing. I'm talking this week about this popular issue about Don Imus. Now, you know this popular issue that headlined all the newspapers all over America. Somehow it threw the whole war in Iraq off the front pages. Even Britney Spears was all suddenly off the front page. Paris Hilton was wiped out. Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, and this combination with Britney Spears are the most popular characters now in America. You can't get away from these pathetically sick souls whose whole claim to fame is to be able to accomplish nothing, to have no talent, and run around from house to house trying different beds and different drinks and different bars and float around from one guy to the other. And these are the kind of people that you'd be ashamed of if they were in your family. You wouldn't mention them, you'd be hiding from them, you'd be ashamed to tell anybody you know them, because in any respectable family, this would be the worst embarrassment in the world to know these three girls. But somehow they're the top headlines in America. You can't get away from them. The war doesn't count when they're all around, when they go any place, when they have an argument or they jump from one mattress to another. All of a sudden, nothing counts. The economy doesn't count. Nothing matters to anybody. You could be unemployed, walking around without a job, and you turn the paper to see what could be happening, and all of a sudden you find out here's Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan. Now they're off the front pages because of Don Imus. Now, instead of sex, perversion, and vulgarity, you see racism become the main headline in America. And again, this is the most important story of the day. Something of practically no consequence in anybody's life. It became suddenly more important than the war, the world, whatever is changing or happening that might affect you, taxes, the economy. Nothing matters except Don Imus. Here is a comparatively insignificant character who has a very low-rated, meaningless show. And he spent all this time just abusing people, attacking people, because he's a vulgarian by nature who enjoyed lousing up everybody. He mentioned somebody's name, the guy stinks. He didn't even know who he was. He didn't care who he was. He enjoyed just abusing people and destroying reputations. This was his character. Now, all of a sudden, he said this disgusting thing about these black girls, respectable, sweet girls who are playing basketball. What could they possibly do to cause you to invent vulgarities against them, abusive terminology, racist remarks? What could motivate a guy to find a way to become insulting and humiliating towards some sweet, nice kids who are playing basketball? You got to be sick or sane or indifferent to anybody's feelings anywhere in the world to be low enough to be you have to be a plain English, a real pig, to reduce yourself to that kind of behavior. But you know who his main judge is? Somebody almost as bad as him, or maybe worse than him. I'm talking about Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton became his judge and jury. How could you be lower than Al Sharpton? I know the people here are going to start saying that I'm a racist, because you can't pick on a black person without being called a racist. But let's be honest about it. If you're looking for racism, don't look at me. It's impossible for me to be a racist. But Al Sharpton, let me tell you something. There's nobody else who's more of a racist than him, because he's a lower than most racists, because he's a racist in guise of a minister, of a reverend, a man who's supposed to be unifying the races. He's marching against racism, and in the guise of marching against racism, he's creating racism wherever he goes. And he knows he's doing it, and he doesn't care if he's doing it. A Hasidic kid, a religious Jewish kid, got killed because of a riot that he created in Crown Heights in Brooklyn. Because it was an accident in an automobile, and he decided that this Hasidic kid was somehow responsible. He didn't go after him personally, but the Hasidim in general was his object, to decide to destroy human life by creating a march and a campaign to attack and destroy Jewish people in that neighborhood. 100 Hasidic people were injured, cops were injured, people were hurt, and one was killed, and this is the outcome of the impact and the effect of that march. It wasn't a march, it was a riot, and it was aimed at nothing but hate, and hate about nothing, because there was no racial issue involved there. He created a racial issue so he could have an excuse to attack innocent people all over the streets. Death and destruction of human life was an outgrowth of that fight and that carrying on. The same thing happened to an innocent man that he destroyed because of Tawana Brawley. A certain black girl who made up a fake story about being raped, and he decided that he had to find the victim. So there was an assistant district attorney by the name of Pagonis, and he decided that he was the rapist. He didn't look into it. He didn't find out if it was true or false. He just went after this man and destroyed his life. Then this man sued him, and he won a civil case against him because he proved his point that he did nothing. There was no such rape. There was no such case. He invented the whole story to destroy people so that he could create a racial issue out of nothing in the guise of being a great crusader to unify race relations. This man is a fraud and a fake, and he's responsible for death and destruction of human life. He did the same thing in Harlem, where there was a place called Freddy's, which was a white establishment business. He says a white business has no business in Harlem. They are interlopers. And somebody ought to burn that place down. And somebody took his advice and did burn the place down, and 5 more people were killed. Now, this man cost human life all over the country. And this man became a judge and the jury of a guy who's a disc jockey just because he's a slobbering idiot. And just because he did make a racist remark, let's assume we know he did. And he does deserve to be attacked. And maybe he deserves to even lose his job. And maybe he deserves to lose his job permanently. But the man that should demand it is a guy who did 1,000 times worse, as if Al Capone was fighting against murder. Or as if Bill Clinton, I had to come to Bill Clinton to apologize for committing adultery. You are a symbol of hate. I'm talking about Al Sharpton. Who the hell are you to be judging other people? And why do they owe it to you to justify their existence? Imus is disgusting, but you're a lot worse. He didn't cause anybody's death. You did. And it's about time you stop being the judge of other people.